Alleluia, Christ is risen. Please be seated. You guys are so lucky that Tennessee won. Because if Tennessee lost, I had a 45-minute sermon prepared. And I was just itching to tell you all about it. No, right. So happy Easter to you. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you. So, did you guys know we had a podcast? A couple people? We have a podcast, this whole side of the room. It's called More Than One Way. So, yeah, if you ever just into something like a podcast, look us up, More Than One Way. And I bring it up because a few weeks ago we had a guest, and his name is Stephen. And Stephen had and shared with us on the podcast just a powerful, what I would call Easter story. And I wanted to share a bit of it with you here today because I think it just fits right with what we're all about today. Okay, so Stephen's in his 50s now, but when he was a younger man, he went mountain biking with a friend. And so he and a friend are out there mountain biking, riding all around and having a good time. And then they went up a fairly large, what seemed to Stephen, a fairly large hill. And when they got to the top, or his friend got to the top who was in front of him, he just kept going. So Stephen thought, well, I'll follow him down. And he just went over. Well, as soon as he started down the hill, he realized this is a mistake. Because it was a huge hill. And he started going so fast down the hill that he was catapulted over his handlebars and hit the ground. And man, he was not in good shape. Fortunately, some people saw what happened and they called the ambulance, paramedics right away, and they arrived very quickly. But he was in bad shape. And he says this about the experience. What I remember most was one of the paramedics kept shouting at me, "Keep your eyes open, keep your eyes open. Look at my eyes, keep your eyes open." And she said it over and over and over again. But no matter how hard Stephen tried, he just couldn't. He couldn't keep his eyes open. Then he says, this is what happened. All of a sudden, I shot through a tunnel where all I could see was a tremendous light at the end. He said, I was in the tunnel for just a nanosecond, just an instant. And then he said it was like landing in a space of bliss. It was like landing in a space of light, of goodness. He said in this place, his pets were there, former childhood pets. And he said, and I was surrounded by people, but not people with bodies, so he called them spirits. I was surrounded by spirits. And he said, and all I could feel was wholeness. He said, I felt whole, and I felt complete, and I felt truly myself, like I didn't have to pretend anymore. And then he said, all I could feel inside myself was love. I just felt blissful and free. He said, I felt love for everything, and I felt love by everything and everyone around me. And then he said this, imagine being born into a place where there is no judgment. No judgment. He said, imagine being born into a place where there's no difference between you and anybody else. You're just absolutely, positively adored. That's the word he used, adored. Do you remember the last time you felt adored? And he's saying it was all right there. A true, for me anyway, Easter experience. Now, if we had the time, I would love to just pick your brain and ask you, what do you hear in this experience? And we could talk and talk and talk for days, right? Well, I could. Because there's so much in the story. There's so much to unpack. Just like Easter, there's so much to unpack. We could talk about it forever. One brief thing is, and this is just for those of you who might be in a place that what I'm about to say helps. There's no reason to fear death. There's no reason to fear death. It's all good on the other side. Okay? So we got that out of the way. No reason to fear death. But I would say something that hit me that's even just as powerful, maybe even more so, and important for our lives here today. Because what I'm about to say to you is all about today and living your life today with the people you're with today. Nowhere else but just today. Okay? Have I made that point clear? Just today. And the thing that stands out for me for today is this. We do not have to wait until we die to experience the place Stephen visited. We don't have to wait to go to the other side to experience that. It's right here, right now amongst us, and we have the capacity to make spaces like this. For me, that's what Easter's all about. For me, Easter says we can create places like Stephen visited right here, right now, right where we are. Anytime we want. We can create, and this is a phrase I came up with, we can create Easter spaces. Okay, is that corny or is that cool? Yeah. I think it's pretty cool. Just for the day. After the day, don't say it, but for the day. Easter spaces. We can create Easter spaces, you and me. We can do that. And those spaces, there are places where there's no judgment, where we withhold our judgment. You know, you really don't have to tell everybody what you're thinking all the time. You can withhold your judgment. You can withhold it and then that's the beginning of creating a place where there is no judgment. We can create Easter spaces where we don't focus on our differences or what bothers us about somebody or how that person annoys us or where they fell short. We can create spaces where we focus on what brings us together rather than what tears us apart. You and I can create Easter spaces where everybody is welcome, just as they are, and where we are whole, and where we don't need to pretend because we know that we're adored, that we're cherished, just as we are. You see, the truth of Easter and the truth of life really is this. Our lives and life in general are of infinite value, infinitely valuable. And so are the lives of everybody that we're around. Life is of infinite value. And what tends to happen to me on a day-to-day basis is I get caught up with all the franticness of my life and the things that I'm sure I have to get done. And then I forget about the people that I love. I take them for granted and blow right by them. And Easter says, not today. Today, just for today, adore the people you're going to be with. Cherish them. Cherish your life. Cherish the people who are around you. Create an Easter space today and see what happens. Just see what happens. Give it a try. Because who knows? Maybe you and I will create these Easter spaces all over Knoxville. Wouldn't that be something? Happy Easter.